Hi, Assalamualaikum and welcome to Coffee Chats TV. This production aims to empower the people by keeping them informed of the issues affecting the region as well as the nation. We believe that an empowered populace will be able to foster responsive institutions that facilitate the empowerment of the people as well. So I am your host, Don.
And I am your co-host, Janedy.
And we welcome you to the first episode of Coffee Chats TV. In which case, our first episode would like to tackle the Bangsamoro flag that was by the Bangsamoro Autonomy Act number 1, created by the Bangsamoro government as its first law. So today we'll discuss about the Bangsamoro flag.
Yes. But maybe before we proceed to our main topic, no, Sir Don, how about we first discuss the relevance of this topic, no, the Bangsamoro flag, to the Moro struggle, particularly their fight for the so-called self-determination, right to self-determination.
Yeah, so you mentioned the right to self-determination. Could you expound for us, Brad, what is
Yes.
the meaning of the right to self-determination?
Yes, thank you for that, no, Sir Brandon. Well, so that is the question, no? What is this self-determination? So, according to a certain Moro brother by the name of Ahod and Linga, who was the Bangsamoro People's Consultative Assembly chairman, he said that the right to self-determination is the collective right of a people, free from any outside interference or coercion. Furthermore, he said that it includes the right to determine this people's political status and to freely pursue its economic, social, spiritual, and cultural development.
Yes, no? So, etong self-determination, eto nga yung nag-a-allow ng people of the same culture. At example, dito sa Muslim Mindanao, no? For us to be able to help govern ourselves, taking into consideration our unique cultural background as well as the context dito sa region. So Brad, ano bang relationship nitong self-determination with the Bangsamoro flag?
Yes, no. So, let me bring your attention, no, to the provision in Republic Act 11054, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Organic Law, particularly Section 2 of Article 4 thereof, where it states, and I quote, no, Sir Brandon, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, in the exercise of its right to self-governance, is free to pursue its political, economical, social, and cultural development as provided in such organic law. Now, Sir Brandon, no, this provision, as cited, is the very essence of the Bangsamoro flag insofar as it reflects the ultimate aspiration of the Bangsamoro people to govern ourselves. So, to correlate this, no, Sir Brandon, let us have a glimpse of the BAA number 1 or the Bangsamoro Autonomy Act number 1 of the Bangsamoro Interim Parliament uh, under Section 2 thereof, which provides that the Bangsamoro is free to adopt its own flag as part of its essential right to self-govern. Now, this right, no, to self-govern, or the term self-govern, brings life to the spirit of the right to self-determination, considering that based on the Bangsamoro history, actually dating back as far as 15th century, the Bangsamoro already had its own form of government, system of government, which is actually recognized not only in this peninsula, but even as far as China.
Yes, bro. I remember that the province of Sulu celebrates more than 600 years of governance anniversary every year since the time of Sharif Abu Bakar. So our the Bangsamoro does have a very long history to celebrate. So this Bangsamoro Autonomy Act number 1 was approved by the interim parliament last August 23, 2019, and then signed by the chief minister on August 28, and then after 15 days upon publication in a regional newspaper, it was had taken effect.
Yes, that's true, no, Sir Brandon. And just to add on that, the barn is a newly created and established political entity here in the island of Mindanao by virtue of Republic Act 11054, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Organic Law, which was ratified in a plebiscite conducted for such a specific purpose in January and February of 2019, respectively.
Yeah. So the importance of the flag, Brad. Maybe we could also discuss what is the importance of a flag for the Bangsamoro.
Yes, that's true, no?
And as we know, a flag reflects the pride, the background, it's a symbol that stands for a nation. It could represent a business, a country, or a nation. If you look at history, since the time of the Egyptians, may mga flag na sila. Up to the Roman Empire, up to the Ottoman Empire, and up to the recent times. Nag-change lang siya sa shapes. And during the period of the Ottoman Empire, ito yung mga colors na lumalabas. In fact, Brad, since 300 years ago, the colors of blue, white, and red has been the symbols that usually appear in flags. And we will be discussing that later. But what is important, itong flag na ito ay flag ng Bangsamoro government to reflect its unique historical, cultural background in the context of the nation. At alam mo ba, Brad Attorney John,
Yes.
that in 2008, Senator Gordon had actually proposed na itong 8, kasi yung Pilipinas may 8 race siya. Nag-propose si Senator Gordon na gawing 9 to acknowledge the struggle of the Muslims in the Philippines, sa mga Moro. Kasi dito nga sa Pilipinas, itong 8 race ng star represents the 8 provinces that first revolted against Spain. So in acknowledgement of their first revolution for independence. But Senator Gordon did acknowledge that the Muslims in the Philippines had already waged a war for independence at the start of the 330 years occupation of the Spaniards in the Philippines. So hindi lang natuloy, sinuportahan pa ni Senator Chis Escudero, hindi rin natuloy because ang sabi ng National Historical Institute, it might change the narrative of history. But the point is, I think may clamor yung Muslims in the Philippines for acknowledgement at totoo talagang may historical injustice even on the history of the Bangsamoro people. Kaya etong flag na ito, something that acknowledges the struggle of the Muslims in the Philippines and represents them, is a milestone, Brad Attorney John.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I agree with you, Sir Brandon. And maybe those what you have elaborated, no, kanina regarding the importance and significance and of a flag, and a flag insofar as the Bangsamoro is concerned, no, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, it is a milestone because we can actually see it in the very provision of BAA number 1 in section 2, which provides that the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, no, is free to adopt the Bangsamoro flag that is reflective of its people's identity, history, heritage, struggles, and aspirations.
Malalalim yung Brad, no? Identity, kung sino ba tayo.
Yes.
Yung history natin na hindi naman naisusulat sa libro.
Tama.
At ang ating heritage, ang ating struggles, at saka ang ating aspirations.
Yes.
So, Alhamdulillah for that milestone, and that's why that milestone is our first episode here
Yes.
in the Coffee Chats.
Yes, no, Sir Don. But by the way, Sir Don, since you are a member of the Transition Authority, can you please, for the benefit of our viewers, so that they will know where this Baan number one emanated from? Aside from the fact it is legally based on the organic law passed by the Congress, which is Republic Act 11054. Can you please share with us who is the author or who enacted this Baan number one?
Yes, the Bangsamoro Autonomy Act, Brad, is a law that is approved by the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. The Bangsamoro Transition Authority is a 80-person group of legislators who are in charge of transitioning from the defunct arm before to the upcoming regular parliament. So the Bangsamoro Transition Authority is led by Chief Minister Ahod Balawag Ibrahim or Chief Minister Al-Hajj Murad of the MILF, because this is an outcome of the, I think, 18 years negotiation with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the government of the Philippines. So as part of the peace process, this Bangsamoro government has been established, and for the transition to the regular parliament where the members of the parliament will be elected, there was an 80-person parliament that was appointed to enact critical laws and to establish the bureaucracy.
So thank you for that, no, Sir Don. So meaning to say, this BTA is the interim government which plays the role as a parliament in a parliamentary form of government here in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Now, can you please, Sir Brad Don, no, tell us or share with us what is the mandate of this interim parliament, which is the Bangsamoro Transition Authority?
The initial most important mandate of the transition authority actually is to establish the bureaucracy and to enact critical codes. So number one of that is the administrative code, which is right now already presented to the plenary and is now being discussed in the committee level. And after that, you have the local government code to describe the relationship of the regional government with the local governments under the Bangsamoro. Number three, you also have the civil service code, which would allow for the laws that will be with those working with the civil service. And then you also have the internal revenue code. The internal revenue code discussing the how we could increase or to manage the revenues of the Bangsamoro government. You also have the education code that, well, hopefully with the main aim of improving the education in the Bangsamoro. But aside from this, of course, the main purpose is to transition from the arm to the Bangsamoro government. So that's why we're expediting the administrative code so that the structure of the Bangsamoro will already be filled up and it could already deliver the needed projects and programs that will improve the welfare of the Bangsamoro people.
So thank you very much, no, Sir Don, for that very comprehensive and informative explanation.
Yeah. Before I end, Brad,
Yes.
I think that also right now we're looking at the electoral code also that will facilitate for the how the leaders of this Bangsamoro government will be chosen.
So thank you, no? Thank you for that. So so narinig natin na po, the BTA, simply put it, is the temporary or interim government that will usher for a smooth sailing transition from arm to barn.
Yes.
So
So I think, Brad, now we now know what is the Bangsamoro government and the Bangsamoro Parliament, which exercises legislative and executive powers.
yes,
Legislative powers being with the 80 members of Parliament, and the executive power being exercised by the Parliament through the Chief Minister and his chosen cabinet.
yes, that
So
is
now we will discuss about the description of the Bangsamoro flag, Brad.
yes,
Attorney
yes.
John.
Okay, okay. So as to the description, no, or how should I say it? Well, let us first start with the general description of the flag. How does it look like? What does it look like? What does the Bangsamoro flag look like? So generally, the entirety of the Bangsamoro flag, no, is divided into three main colors, which are the red, the white, and the green. No, also, the flag has three objects, which are the crescent, the seven-rayed star, and the crest, no? Sir Brandon.
Yes. And so we start with the green, Brad. Could
Okay,
you expound to us?
sure, sure. No? So let's start with the green. So the green color in the flag consists of one-third of the entire flag, no? Mga pagari ko, mga kapatid, no? Mga Bangsamoro brothers. And the entire flag, no? It is occupied, like I said, by three colors, and then the top portion of it is the green one. Now, this green color reflects the Islamic teachings and principles that the majority of the population subscribe to. So,
Yes.
yes.
And so after the green, we also have the white portion. And the white portion, it describes the peace and sakina or tranquility and the righteousness. No? So, Attorney Brad Jan, could you discuss more about this terminology? No? I think it has Arabic roots, and since may dugo ka namang Arabo, paki-describe sa atin, ano ba itong sakina?
Well, no, napitikan lang ako ng konti ng mga ninuno ko. Siguro sa balbas, no, Sir Brandon. But anyway, sure, no, sakina, no, mga brothers, is actually originally derived from an Arabic term which literally means tranquility. No, sakina
Tranquility.
is actually a word which has its significance in the Islamic faith. In fact, no, mga kapatid, no, Sir Brandon,
Yes.
the word sakina was mentioned in the Holy Quran, no, by where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala portrayed it as a reassurance. No? If I may share lang, no, for the benefit of our
Yes,
viewers,
Brad.
the English translation of the verse in the Holy Book of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the Holy Quran, it says that Allah's good pleasure was on the believers when they swore fealty to thee under the tree. He knew what was in their hearts, and he sent down sakina or tranquility to them, and when he rewarded them with speedy victory. So, as you
Mashallah.
can see, Sir Don, simply put it, we can already infer from that it is something which refers to inner peace or calmness, no? So,
Yes. Actually, I remember during the committee meeting when this was being discussed, while we wanted to be inclined to describe the white portion to be that of peace, there was a strong movement to define it more deeply, and that's why the word sakina came about, because to contrast it to sakina, or I mean to white to mean peace, peace of silence or peace of endless sleep, but
yes.
the target was sakina of peace, that means tranquility.
Which brings us, no, to ano to relate it with the word peace, no. In fact, they are different because peace is a state of it is a state or a situation wherein there is let us say wala nang gera, wala nang gulo. However, tranquility, no, bolsters the trust of the government that if peace comes or emanates from inside the Bangsamoro people, definitely there will be a sustainable and continuing peace in the Bangsamoro land.
Yes, so that is indeed what we want is not just the peace of silence, but
Yes.
a strong sense of peace with tranquility. So we proceed, Brad, Attorney John, to the next portion, which is the red portion of the flag. And this red portion uh, symbolizes the blood of the fallen mujahideen, or those who have struggled for the recognition of our identity, self-determination, for our, what they call, for our people, for our land, and for our faith. That is why, if you look at the national flag as well, the red portion, Brad Attorney John, actually
Yes.
signifies valor, which in some sense this is an acknowledgement to those who had fought for us. And if we look at even the Philippines, Lapu-Lapu as one of its first heroes, Lapu-Lapu can be considered a Muslim in the Philippine Islands before, and as such, he may well be a Moro, and I think President Duterte had mentioned that, and that is why there were moves to acknowledge the Muslims in the Philippines through this flag. So, and even the armed forces of the Philippines, and the PNP, if you look at their logo, they recognize Lapu-Lapu. And so, indirectly, actually, the Philippines acknowledges the strength and resistance of the Muslims in the Philippines. And so, in the Bangsamoro flag, it acknowledges that because for over 33 generations, our forefathers have continuously defended our right to determine our own future. And so that is the green, the white, and the red portion of the flag.
Mashallah, mashallah.
So we now proceed, Brad, to the crescent.
Yes, no. Thank you for that, Sir Don. No? So we are now going to discuss the objects that can be found in the Bangsamoro flag. So I'll start with the crescent, no. But I will be discussing the crescent all together with the seven red stars since they are positioned, no, to be very close to each other. In fact, the seven red star is inside the crescent. So let's start with the crescent. So as you can see in the Bangsamoro flag, no, official flag, the crescent is located in the middle portion of the flag, the white color. So this crescent symbolizes the principles that guided the Bangsamoro who struggled for self-determination. No? So Sir Brad Don, no?
Yes.
What are these principles? I can remember the advices and the stories of our forefathers before, those who came before us. Whenever they fight, they were always very strict in their observance, no, or adherence to the etiquettes of a mujahideen. No, in fact, you may call them or you may regard them as environmentalists because bawal silang mag-destroy ng mga plants even during war if it is unnecessary.
Yes,
No?
and I think more this also expounds more on the general principles that Islam advocates. Like number one is moderation. Number two, even respect for the environment.
Yes.
The respect for women. The in many aspects, because for Muslims, Islam is a way of life, and the principles that are required therein as a Muslim, is encompassed in that
Yes.
crescent.
And in fact, Sir Brandon, no, even in the stories of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Mujahideens, no, those who struggle for truth and justice, in order to ensure na hindi sila malihis doon sa objective nila, is that they must have this sense of compassion. So, ano tong compassion? That they must always see to it that they are fighting not to oppress, but rather to liberate first themselves and those of their companion, or those who are considered to be their companions, and those who they consider to be being victims of oppression, no, to be alleviated from such status. That's why the MNLF, the MILF, nandun yung word na liberation.
Yes. And we must always remember that the first revelation given to the Muslims is Ikra bismi rabbika, read in the name of thy Lord. So, kumbaga, yung principle also of seeking knowledge is also there. So, ang dami, no, that is represented. So, aside from that, the 7 red star.
Yes. So now, let us discuss about the 7 red star, no? So, this 7 red star is actually the object that represents the territory of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Particularly, it represents the major political units, no? Which are the Maguindanao Province, the Lanao del Sur Province, including its city, Marawi, Basilan Province, including its city, Lamitan, of course, the island province of Sulu, and the far-flung province, and a beautiful one, which is already in the boundary of Malaysia and Philippines, the island of province of Tawi-Tawi. And then, of course, the newly included, no, or added territory, which is the highly urbanized city of Cotabato. And for the 7 red star, it represents the 63 barangays who voted, no, during the plebiscite to be included, no, and they are erstwhile part of North Cotabato, now at present are already part of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim.
Yes, and we must remember that before there were only 4 provinces. Now, well, in 2001, there was a plebiscite and Basilan was able to join in and it became 5. And finally, right now, there are 7 geographic areas that are herein represented by the 7 red star.
Yes.
So, Brad, another symbol that we discuss, again, just like the red, the Chris, or it has different names. Here in Maguindanao, it can also be called Kampilan. For the Tausug, we call it Kalis. So it's like Chris, Kalis. But it symbolizes the protection and the resistance of the Bangsamoro and other indigenous people against oppression, tyranny, and injustice. So that's why it is there in the Bangsamoro flag.
Yes.
So we're almost ending with our part. Brad, maybe you could expound on the hoisting and the display of the flag.
Yes, sure, Sir Brandon. Since the Bangsamoro, of course, has its flag, no, the flag should be hoisted and displayed. And the question is, right now, how is the Bangsamoro flag hoisted and displayed? Remember, I want to emphasize that the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region is still part of the Republic of the Philippines, being a subnational of the latter. However, let me just bring your attention, no, to the provision of Baan number 1, particularly section 4 thereof, which states that the Philippine flag shall always be displayed alongside the Bangsamoro flag pursuant to section 2, article 2 of Republic Act number 11054, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Organic Law. So, dinidisplay siya, no, katabi ng Philippine flag to reflect, no, that first the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, no, is recognized by our Philippine Republic, or rather the Philippine Republic is recognizing the unique status of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region or the Bangsamoro people itself, no? And it is being displayed together with it so that it will emphasize, no, that the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, which I mentioned a while ago, and I'll mention it again, is still a sub-national uh, unit or political unit of the Republic of the Philippines.
Yes, and per Bangsamoro Autonomy Act, Attorney Brad Jan,
Yes.
it requires that all Bangsamoro offices, universities, public and private, GOCCs, and government instrumentalities within and outside the Bangsamoro must display it.
Yes.
So I think we end there, Attorney Brad Jan, and we thank our viewers for watching us. We hope that you learned something about the Bangsamoro flag, and we could make another episode for the Bangsamoro history. But what is important here is our principle that, again, we believe that sustainable development and peace can only be attained with an empowered people and civil society who demands responsive institutions, who then empowers the people, which again strengthens and makes the institutions more responsive. So it's a reinforcing loop, which we, in our small capacity, through this public information production, hopes to empower our people so that they know what is going on that affects the region as well as the nation.
So thank you very much. I hope you have our viewers enjoyed our talk for today, no? So again, we hope to provide more information to for the Bangsamoro and the Bangsamoro people ourselves, so that yung mga kapatid natin na hindi pa nakakaalam kung ano talaga ang Bangsamoro Autonomous Region at kung sino ba talaga o ano ba talaga ang mga Bangsamoro people, we hope that we can showcase, no, the bright side of our culture, history, identity, and of course our aspiration for a continuous and sustainable peace in our Bangsamoro land.
Yes. So if you would like to be updated of our next videos, please hit like or share or subscribe. And if you like to for us to feature some topics that you prefer, please put it at the comment box. And we hope to see you soon. I am your host again, MP Don.
And I am Janedin.
And we say, Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.